Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's program titled Action is the Antidote to Despair. The League of Women Voters of Bucks County is hosting this program. My name is Eileen Scheinson. I am president of the Bucks County League. On behalf of our league, I would like to thank you all for joining us tonight for this very informative and relevant discussion. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan grassroots organization committed to securing voting rights and defending democracy, regardless of party affiliation. We do not support or oppose any candidates or political parties. Our mission is to increase the understanding of major public policy issues and influence public policy through education and advocacy. So before we start the program, there's a couple of housekeeping issues I'd like to share with everyone. We have enabled the closed caption transcript feature for today's program. It's very useful. However, if you do not want it, you can toggle on and off on the little box under More. You can click it and go up, and you can toggle on and off the closed caption if you choose to do so. Participants do not need to worry about being seen or heard during this program. In a Zoom webinar, participants are not visible, and they engage in discussion in the Q&A, not the chat box. We will get as many questions as possible during this session. Please be sure to type your questions for a presenter in the Q&A, not the chat box. We will be using the chat box for participant interaction, but if you have a question, please again put it in the Q&A box and it will receive greater attention. This program is being recorded and will be available on our website at a later date. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce our presenter tonight, Dr. Lisa Goldstein. Dr. Goldstein is a child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrist living and practicing in Delaware County. In 2022, she became one of the founders of both Physicians for a Healthy Pennsylvania and a grassroots group called Indivisible Mainline South. As a practicing psychiatrist and grassroots activist, she draws on her experience to identify strategies for surviving and thriving during these challenging and uncertain times. By sharing her knowledge and insights, Dr. Goldstein will help us explore tools to strengthen resilience, foster hope, and strategies to remain empowered in these challenging and divisive times. I've had the opportunity to attend a previous webinar by Dr. Lisa Goldstein, so I'm sure you will find her information, wisdom, and great energy to be reassuring and inspiring. It's important to remember that in times of uncertainty, it is vital to protect our emotional health so we can stay informed and continue to advocate for our democracy. So now I will turn this program over to Dr. Goldstein. It's all yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eileen. Thank you for that lovely introduction and for having me here tonight. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. Let's get my slide deck shared. So I don't need to tell you much more because Eileen gave me such a thorough introduction, but I do want to say that I'm like all of you. I am a daughter, a wife, a sister, a mother, and a grandmother. And my day job, like Eileen said, I'm a child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrist. But for the last 9 years, my other identity has been as a grassroots activist. And what's really interesting is that until about a year ago, those identities were pretty separate. People didn't come into my office and want to talk about politics. But since the 2024 election, people regularly come in and want to know how they're supposed to cope, what they should do. Times are really hard. I don't need to tell you all of that, right? We've all watched the news for the last year and especially since last week. But about a year ago, I started giving this talk, and it's a real treat to be able to merge my daytime identity and that other identity as an activist. So I am going to actually give you much of the talk is what I really do in my office. These are real suggestions from research-based things that I prescribe And a lot of it is what I've learned from my patients, because like all of us, the people I treat, they go through a lot of really hard things in life, illnesses, chronic pain, loss, trauma, and they've shared a lot of wisdom with me. And so I am also going to share that with you. And one of the most important pieces is that we live the life we have. This is our life. No matter how much we might wish otherwise, this is the life we have to live. For better or worse, you and I are not people who can stick our heads in the sand. And just like if you're sitting in my office, you're on the couch, sitting up, not laying down across from me. You're the only person in the room with me. This talk is not about them out there. They're not asking to talk to me. They don't want to change. It's about you and me and how we can make our lives easier and better. So the hardest part for me here is changing slides. So this is my prescription, and really it is the motto that I live by. Action is the antidote to despair. And I'm going to give you both personal actions and political actions tonight. And when I prescribe treatments, you should know, yes, I prescribe medicine, but I prescribe treatments that are not medicine to also be helpful. I hope to give you a few skills, a toolkit, and you will take with you what works for you. A psychiatrist friend said to me last night, Lisa, you're not going to tell them what to do, are you? I said, no, I'm just going to give them choices. We are going to start with fear and anxiety. That goes back to the original question of what my patients started asking me. Dr. Goldstein, I'm worried all the time. I'm afraid. I can't sleep. I'm so angry at fill in the blank. How am I going to do this? What do I do? The first thing that we need to start with is that the fear is real because the threat is real. And if you weren't sure about that before, after last week, you are really sure that the threat is real. For the first time in our lifetime, the United States is experiencing a coordinated assault on our democracy from within. We have a violent mass police force on our streets. And I know many of you probably read Heather Cox Richardson. She is telling us that this is fascism and they are moving fast. So how do you feel? Remember, I'm a psychiatrist. I ask people how they feel. How do you feel when I say the threat is real? When you think about what happened last week, pay attention to those feelings. Is your heart racing a little bit? Are you uncomfortable, sad, angry? Did you even notice that I took a deep breath before I even asked the question? Fear of a real threat is not mental illness, and you are not alone in what you are feeling. Just because the threat is real, the fear is real, doesn't mean that there aren't things we can do to help ourselves feel better. There are many people being threatened right now, people of color, immigrants, people in any marginalized community. I'm speaking to the League of Women Voters. We understand how under threat women are right now. And anyone who has ever experienced abuse or trauma, that's amplifying your physical response to the fear, and it's increasing your anxiety. So be generous with yourself. Give yourself grace. Know that you bring to you bring to life everything you have experienced. Maybe you've heard about fight or flight reactions. Fight or flight doesn't feel good. It's what fuels panic attacks for anyone who's ever experienced a panic attack. And it's that big it's what happened in the jungle when there was a big scary beast and that, caveman with no weapons. They had to either fight or run away. Their heart got pumping. The blood went away from their stomach, maybe a little sick to their stomach. Their eyes got big. The blood rushed to their muscles so they would be strong. They had to breathe fast to get oxygen to those muscles, ready to fight or run away. But every time you get those feelings and you go, oh no, what's happening to me? Ugh, I hate this feeling. Oh no. You fuel it and make it stronger. And so we want to know what to do when we start to get overwhelmed by those feelings. Fight or flight, interestingly, is not, fight or flight is more than fight or flight. And we can see in the reaction from many public figures. We certainly see fright from the grassroots, from those of us in League of Women Voters and Mark Elias from Democracy Docket. We see flight. All of our friends who are, maybe us, and we're talking about leaving the country or where else we can get our citizenship. But we're also seeing people freeze, shutting down, avoiding. How many friends do you have saying, nope, no news for me. I can't think about it. I'm on strike from the news. That's actually part of that same fight or flight reaction. And then there's the fawning. The big law firms, Columbia University, ABC, CBS, the billionaire tech bros, everyone who's donating to a ballroom. That is fawning. And these are all actions that people take, companies take when they believe they're under threat. To tamp that down, one of the things you can do is learn to breathe. Now, we breathe all day long, every day, right? But sometimes that breathing doesn't help us. So I do want to give you a simple tool that you can take with you. I can give you a couple different versions. Maybe I'll do a different one next time. This is called 7-Eleven breathing. I wish I had a wah-wah breathing, but this is 7-Eleven breathing. The important parts when you learn to breathe is that you always want to exhale, to let your breath out more slowly than you inhale. That way you don't hyperventilate. The second thing is that you want to expand. If you're a yoga person or a singer, you want to expand your belly as you take your breath in. You do more Pilates, you're expanding your rib cage. So we're just going to practice for a second. Whenever you're ready, it's not going to match up with my talking. I'm going to breathe in and count for 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then out for 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Drop my shoulders. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You might want to take one more 7-Eleven breath right now. In through your nose for a count of 7. Out through your mouth for 11. And drop your shoulders down. Feel yourself let go of that tension. That breathing helps you live with fear and anxiety. You can take a slow, deep breath in and exhale anytime, anywhere. No one will know what you're doing. It actually will activate what's called your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest, as opposed to that fight or flight sympathetic nervous system. Next time we do breathing, I'll do a different one with you. So I'm going to draw generously from 2 research-based kinds of treatment: cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and dialectical behavior therapy, DBT. I'm going to not do this with perfect fidelity, but you'll get the general idea. So DBT, or dialectical behavior therapy, teaches us that 2 contradictory or opposing things, a dialectic, can be true at the same time. We can accept what is happening. This is our reality. And at the very same time, we can work to move forward and make ourselves and the world better. Both can be true at the same time. If you think about it, that's why it's DBT, it's therapy. This is what we do in therapy. We accept who we are right now and try to change and move forward. CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, is another evidence-based treatment, and it's the idea that how we think and how we behave impacts how we feel. So sometimes we can change our automatic negative thoughts. I'll show you some of that later. And sometimes we can change our behavior. A lot of that tonight, because action is the antidote to despair. One of the techniques that comes from DBT is grounding. This is also something that you can do anywhere. You find yourself distracted, panicking, uncomfortable, needing to get back in control of your emotions. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can do it with me yourselves as you sit right here. It's actually harder than you think. The easy one, look around, 5 things you can see. Actually do this. It's not that hard. You can't see what I'm looking at in my office. I see my coffee mug and I see my orchids. I see my computer screen. I very much wish I could see all of you. I see my reading glasses and I see my bulletin board. 4 things you can touch. I can touch the arms of my chair. You're going to have different things there. I can feel the fabric on my sweater, my hair, my desk. 4 things you can touch. You're going to try to focus intently on those sensations. What do you actually feel? Sometimes you might actually choose to carry something with you in your pocket that the feeling is soothing to you. You've heard of worry stones. This one's harder. 3 things you can hear. I hear my HVAC system running. You all hear my voice. Shockingly, I don't hear my dog or the TV or anything in the house right now. I hear my breath. 2 things you can smell. Many of you may have just had dinner. I know I can smell dinner in my house. And one of my tricks is I can smell my hair product. If you're someone who likes soothing smells, you might want to pick up a little roll-on lavender stick or wear your favorite perfume. Sometimes the sense of smell can be very soothing. That may be something you bring with you if you're someone who's experiencing a lot of anxiety. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing you can taste. I usually have lemon in my water. If taste works for you, something strong, Altoids, Red Hots, ginger candies. These are all things that can really help you ground yourself in the moment and not get overwhelmed by your emotions. So we're going to move on to uncertainty. How you doing with all the uncertainty in the world right now, with not knowing what you're going to wake up to every morning, with maybe even checking your phone in the middle of the night to see what's happened? Well, the markets don't like uncertainty, and neither do human beings. And that's something we all know is true. We don't know exactly what is going to happen next, but being able to live with uncertainty is a sign of resilience. One theory, philosophy, approach to uncertainty is what's called radical acceptance. Radical acceptance is meant to calm our fight or flight reaction. It does not mean doing nothing, just the opposite. And I do want to credit the author, Tara Brach. This is not a concept I made up, but a widely discussed concept of radical acceptance. It is not approval, but rather completely and totally accepting with our mind, body, and spirit that we cannot currently change the present facts, even if we do not like them. By choosing to radically accept the things that are out of our control, we prevent ourselves from becoming stuck in unhappiness, bitterness, anger, and sadness, and we can stop suffering. That not shutting down, but tamping down that fight or flight reaction, that allows us to begin to move forward, to live the life we have, and be able to engage in the things that will help change come about. Without the acceptance that this is the life we are living right now, and many of these things are out of control, we won't have the energy and the emotional resources to make a difference in the way that we want to. So more than one thing can be true at the same time. Hold on to that idea. More than one thing can be true at the same time. We can accept that this is our reality. This administration has an agenda that is cruel and intolerable, that's anti-democratic. I can accept that I don't know what is next or how it will turn out, and I can take action. Go back to DBT. That's a dialectic. Just like when you go into therapy, 2 things can be true at the same time. So acceptance is hard. So take a breath in through your nose and out through your mouth, more slowly. Let that tension go and drop your shoulders. And if 7-Eleven doesn't work for you, one more breath, we're going to do square breathing. I didn't put the slide in. That's just going to be breathe in on a count of 4. Hold your breath there for a count of 4. Exhale for a count of 4. And hold your breath there for a count of 4. Ways to quiet down your nervous system. So now we're going to talk about being human. It's good, right? Being human, not perfect. Another core DBT tenet. We don't need to be perfect, just human, because no matter what happens, life will go on. And I'm at that stage of life where I can tell you the babies are being born, not mine, but grandchildren are being born and my friends' grandchildren. And it's very interesting to have those two kind of contradictory things happening at the same time. People are going to fall in love, have babies, celebrate holidays, rescue pets, share meals and drinks, mourn over that Eagles game, go for a walk on a sunny day like today. That is what it means to be human. And it happens even under the most dire of circumstances, even when we are grieving, even when we live in a war zone, we can rescue a kitten and bring it home with us. And that's a true story. And if you feel that somehow being human or living your life is disloyal or a betrayal, try to think of all that love and pleasure and humanity and hope for the future as a form of resistance. Fascist and authoritarian regimes thrive on division. They thrive on our desperation and despair. They try to take away our humanity. They count on us giving up. We defeat them by continuing to live and to live with joy. It is okay to live with joy and celebrate. Try not to feel guilty about living a good life to the best of your ability. And then always hold on to and remember that your freedom and good fortune is a privilege. It's a gift, and you can, and I would say you must pay it forward. And everyone who's engaged with the League of Women Voters, I already know you're doing that. So this being human and living a good life, living your life with joy, helps me move to positive psychology, which is another evidence-based philosophy and form of treatment in psychology. We've talked about negative emotions like fear and uncertainty, very difficult feelings. And positive psychology is the scientific study of what makes life worth living, focusing on strengths and positive experiences. So here's where I want you to use the chat. I can't actually follow the chat, talk, and change slides at the same time, but this is something you can give to each other because research tells us that gratitude improves our physical and mental health, and it increases empathy. So in the chat, put something that you feel grateful for. I'm going to just chatter on for a few minutes. I do want you to be able to read what's happening in the chat. I'll see if I can take a peek. When we are getting demoralized or overwhelmed, we can be intentional and remind ourselves to focus on what we are grateful for, and it will make you feel better. I know that I am grateful for the FaceTimes I get every day from my grandchildren, and there's joy in that and gratitude. I would also say, I don't know if people are using the chat because I can't see it, but I hope you are sharing things you're grateful for, because gratitude is the opposite of grievance. And we all know where the politics of grievance has gotten us. Eileen, are things happening in the chat? Is there anything you want to share?
I don't see anything right now, Lisa. I am looking.
Oh, I just see chat is now open to everyone.
Yeah.
I'll give you one more minute for that. I do see a grandchildren and my Skeller cat popped up. Oh, certainly our pets. So as you think about something you're grateful for, gratitude improves your physical health. It improves your sleep and your psychological health. It increases empathy. It reduces aggression. It increases social connection. It enhances self-esteem, and it improves your mental strength. Um, I see when the sun comes out and for friends and getting up every morning and my home and my family and my friends and my partner. Many of us have a lot to be grateful for, even when things are really hard. A good meal, uh, a partner that helps you feel grounded. Protesters, love who said grateful for protesters. Being out there Sunday with friends really helped. So information, there's so much information. Uh, the news right now is coming at us like it's coming from a fire hose. And news for a lot of us is like caffeine. Most of us can't live without it, right? How many of you can't wake up in the morning without your cup of coffee or tea? And you want to know what's happening in the world, but we need to be careful about when and how much we ingest. If you can't sleep because of the news, maybe you need to take in a little less. Maybe you need to limit the time of day that you partake of the news, just like you wouldn't have coffee after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe you even need to set a timer. And then you also need to be careful what news you take in. Uh, it's there's a real effort to undermine truth, knowing what we see with our eyes and hear with our ears. And so you want to be careful that you have trusted sources of information. I'm going to ask you to use the chat again as you scroll through what people are grateful for. I picked 3 choices of truth. Many of you know Professor Timothy Snyder, who wrote 20 Lessons on Tyranny. Number 10 is Believe in Truth. Many of you read Professor Heather Cox Richardson, Letters from an American. She is really documenting our history in real time. And I added, since the spring, I had to add another expert. We're very lucky in Philadelphia to have Children's Hospital. Dr. Paul Offit is a vaccine expert and has a Substack. Trust the experts, trust the scientists, trust Dr. Offit or the American Academy of Pediatrics if you need information about vaccines and medicine in general. If you are sharing your trusted sources, I appreciate that. I'm not going to read them to you. We do have an incredible local source for news, which is the Philadelphia Inquirer. You might not know that the Inquirer is supported by the Lenfest Foundation. We still have independent journalism in Philadelphia, and that is increasingly rare. So if you can, subscribe online or even to a newspaper. You'll get leading independent political reporters. I'm going to plug Will Bunch here. Plus the Phillies and the Eagles or restaurant reviews or whatever matters to you. I would also add Democracy Docket. I think someone put it up there. So now I'm moving on to action. The action I'm going to suggest you take comes in 2 categories, both personal action and political action. And political action can be partisan or nonpartisan. Action, after all, is the antidote to despair. So first you need to take care of yourself. Prioritize sleep. The New York Times runs things all the time, telling us how good sleep is for our brains. Be intentional about it. You may need to limit caffeine and news. Taking a walk during the day is particularly good. If you can do that outside in the middle of the day in the winter when the sun is shining, that's even better. Have a bedtime routine and give yourself some time to unwind. Limit screens near bedtime. This is all called sleep hygiene. They'll send out resources after because I know you can't click on links in my slide deck. So there's something called sleep hygiene. Look for that. And if you need even more help with sleep, There's something called CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI, and there's some online programs. So some of you may really need help with sleep. These are the professional resources that I share. I'm back to an action you can take is be human. Make eye contact and small talk, even with people you don't agree with. At least they will see you as a human being. Live your life, celebrate life. All those things we talked about, weddings and birthdays, and I wish I could say Eagles victories, but there will be another season. Be part of a community. This is something else you can share in the chat if you'd like. You don't need to. There are a lot of different kinds of communities that we can be part of. For some of us, that may be a religious community. It may be a political action committee, not a PAC, but a grassroots group. It may be I saw theater company there. It might be a theater company, quilting, book clubs, but be part of a community and be sure to volunteer and be of service. You know, the funny thing about volunteering is that it's not just good for the people we're helping, but it's good for us. Real research really shows us how much it helps us to be of service. And to Professor Snyder, Tim Snyder says, do things with people you like and matter. You like and, oh, I said that wrong. You like and admire. Do things with people you like and admire. And they don't need to be political things. Most importantly, be yourself. Be true to yourself. Articulate your values. Tim Snyder says, be as courageous as you can be. That's his 20th rule out of 20. And do not judge yourself or judge others. Try to give people some grace. I genuinely believe we each do the best we can. Back to being human. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to be human. Political action can be both partisan and nonpartisan. The very first thing I'm going to ask you to do, and everyone, if you're on your phone and know how to do it, great. Otherwise, grab your phone right now, get out your phone and go to fivecalls.org. You want to sign up for fivecalls.org or download the app on your phone. What fivecalls.org does, this is what the homepage of the website was today, and print's a little small there. It gives you the issues that are most current, and it gives you access to your 3 members of Congress. 9 years ago, when Indivisible started, that was the #1 lesson. Your 3 members of Congress are the only people who care what you have to say because you are their constituents. You vote for them. Fivecalls.org would hope that you would make 5 calls every single day. I hope for once a week, and I'm even happy with once a month or when there's an issue that really moves you. But know how to call your members of Congress. Fivecalls.org will give you the links, the issues, scripts, but you pick and choose. I'm not telling you what you have to call and say, but make your voice heard. Your vote matters. Your voice matters. Sometimes when the lines are busy, call an outlying office. I can often get through to my senators in Erie, but not in Philadelphia. Faxes, if you can get through, emails, and sometimes really that someone will answer the phone and talk to you. They didn't pay me to do this. Nonpartisan action. Join the League of Women Voters. The link there is a little messy, but you know how to find your local Bucks County League of Women Voters. More nonpartisan action. You know, we have 2 elections a year, every single year. Completely nonpartisan. You can register voters. You can work at the polls. And this is on the League of Women Voters Pennsylvania website. We have a lot of really important elections in 2026. Know what they are. Talk about it. Encourage people to vote. We're voting for governor, lieutenant governor, 17 U.S. House seats. Those are your Congress people. Hey, Bucks County, I don't have to tell you who you have up for re-election for Congress, right? 25 Pennsylvania state Senate seats and all of the Pennsylvania state House seats where we have this very narrow margins in both houses. You could also join a grassroots group. Many of these are actually, like League of Women Voters, nonpartisan. It's just the issues are so clear, like democracy and free and fair elections. These are my grassroots groups, Indivisible, which I helped co-found one of the early groups, Indivisible Mainline South, in early 2017. Red Wine and Blue has wonderful guests online. Turn PA turns out tons of voters, always has actions you can take. And as a physician, I'm one of the co-founders of Physicians for a Healthy Pennsylvania. Good, solid, science-based medical information is so important right now. And so we are helping to advocate for our patients, and that's you. Money talks. Decide where you want to spend your money. You do not need to shop, but I don't shop. But I forget what you need to do. I don't shop nearly as much as I used to at Jeff Bezos' companies, Amazon and Whole Foods. I shop more locally, and I save money in the process. There are still Tesla protests. Do you want your next car to be a Tesla? That's a decision you can make. There are local companies that are making money off of ICE actions. You could be involved in protests. Protesting is not yet a criminal activity. Tim Snyder talks about protests now while you still can before you lose the right. Never repeat lies. It's very tempting to want to argue with people. Many of you are on social media. If you're old like me, it's still Facebook. And you want to come back at people and try to correct them. Don't do that. Good messaging tells us that we should not repeat lies. We should only talk about the truth. Talk about issues. It's not a politics really shouldn't be a dirty word, but do what you do best. I like to open my house for all kinds of events, and I like to talk. I use my voice. You may be aware that there have been some big protests around the country in the last year. I know League of Women Voters supported the October No Kings protest, which was almost 3,000 events in all 50 states, and more than 7 million people joined. The more people that join these big events, the more of an impact we can all have. And also, it's incredible to be part of a community. I'm sure many of you also went to protests this Sunday or vigils for peace and nonviolence. Tim Snyder tells us protest now while we still have the choice. I'm going to give you a couple little practical things at the end here to help you stay safe, because a lot of people are worried about that. This was all in the news during the Doge cuts. But download your Social Security information. You should know how to access your portal online. Print it out. Make sure you have a hard copy of the years you've worked, the dollars you paid in, and the payment schedule. It's also easy to place a freeze on your credit that you can undo at any time when you need to do something with it. The materials that go out will have NerdWallet instructions for that. And make sure your passport or real ID are updated. This is especially important for women who changed their name when they got married. Many older women don't have paperwork that matches, their IDs don't all match. And with efforts to restrict voting rights, it's very important that you have either a passport or a real ID and get your paperwork in order well in advance. Know your rights. The ACLU is one of the places where you can find out what your rights are if you are approached, a neighbor, a family member is approached, asked to open a door or get out of a car. So I just want to say, because I am a doctor, a psychiatrist giving this talk, you may have hoped for more from this talk today. I trust you. Do you need more help? Trust yourself. Call your doctor. Start with your primary care doctor. At work, you may have an EAP, an employee assistance program. Some of you may have anxiety that's really interfering, or depression, or other issues that you need help with. Ask for help. It is out there. So the action is the antidote to despair is a Joan Baez quote. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. You know, I always thought that quote said a group of thoughtful, committed women. I don't know why I would think that. The National Memorial for Peace and Justice has this wonderful quote. This is just an excerpt of it carved onto the walls. What probably some of you are reading on screens like phones, so it's too small. With hope, because hopelessness is the enemy of justice. With courage, because peace requires bravery. With persistence, because justice is a constant struggle. And with faith, because we shall overcome. I very much thank you for listening to me tonight. I'm here to take questions, and I know you've been told that you should use the Q&A for questions. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you. This was excellent. So let's take some time to enter our questions in the Q&A. I'm sure we have lots of them for such a fabulous, informative, and a lot of information to absorb. Please, there are no bad questions. Anything you want to share, if you want to share something, please do so in the Q&A. We look forward to it. We have one question here. Give me a second if I can find it. The first one we have is, it seems that media focus is on all the actions of those in power. And I just lost it. Give me a second. There are people taking positive actions and speaking truth to power, but their voices are given little media coverage. How can we keep going forward given this reality? What would be your recommendation?
So isn't that infuriating? I'm guessing the person who wrote that, maybe you were at one of the protests on Sunday or saw the pictures online, because there were vigils and gatherings all over the five-county area and all over the country. And the Inquirer, to their credit, covered it. It was on the front page, and the New York Times virtually ignored it. And it's unbelievable to me that they could have 4 articles about Iran, not that that's not important, but the protests in Iran, and nothing about the protests in our own country. Write letters to the editor, complain about it. They have an ombudsman who looks at issues like that. Newspapers, on social media, tag them, not tweet, I don't go there, on Blue Sky, wherever you are, speak up, call attention to it. Share the articles when they come from the Inquirer or you have a really good paper in Bucks County, Eileen. Is it the Beacon?
We have the Beacon, and we also and that's online. And we also have the Herald, which we do publish every month. Someone from the league does an excellent article every month in the Herald.
So make sure you acknowledge the people and the sources that are covering these events. Share them, thank them publicly. And the ones who are not, I am also always saying, at NYT, where are you on this issue? Why isn't this on the front page? Together we make an impact. Do you know that it's not enough to just like something or heart it on social media? Put a comment in. A comment will help more people see it. It raises it up in popularity. So sometimes you're thinking, why would I bother commenting? Comment on the things that you want more people to see. Even your League of Women Voters, if you're posting things, train your members to comment. But it is a real problem, and we know that that's why for those of you who watch, Rachel Maddow spends so much time on Mondays and on social media publicizing all of the protests and things that are happening as part to resist what's happening in our country right now, because she knows that we have to make it noticed, and she has a big voice. So anonymous attendee in the Q&A.
Fear of retribution.
By the power regime for being politically active. I don't know if that's a question, but I don't know if that's a book or an article, but I think what you're saying is what many of us wonder now. Are we safe going out there? What happened last week in Minneapolis and I can't see who's in the audience. I can only speak for myself that as an American citizen, a white woman, a physician, a grandmother, I have a greater sense of safety than many other people. I have dear friends, accomplished, educated people with brown skin who have been told for their own safety that they should not go to protests, and it's a tremendous loss for them. So I think each of us needs to decide what's safe for us. Tim Snyder says, be as brave as you can be. Some days I'm not sure what I'm going to go out and do, and then I go out. I am more cautious than I used to be. Michelle Obama, when she was on TV a lot a few weeks ago with her new book, someone put the name of it in the chat, with all of the incredible fashion photos, but she was also about the meaning behind how she presented herself. And one of the questions she was asked by a younger woman was, what about my hair? You know, the pressure to conform in how an African-American woman presented herself. And what Michelle Obama said was, you know, people ask me, why am I doing this now? And she says, because I can. I'm secure. I don't need the income. I don't care what they say about me. She has protection. She can be out there saying all of this, but if you need your job and your job requires that you dress a certain way, wear your hair a certain way, not speak on social media in a certain way, you need your job. Don't give up your income, your security for your food and your home. Be safe. The fear of retribution, it's real. We're each going to answer that differently as we watch how the levers of power are being used. But there are people like Senator Kelly, who sued a whole bunch of people today for the threat, or yesterday for the way they've been threatening him. Jerome Powell is standing up. And that's one of the biggest disappointments for many of us, to see that so many people in power, institutions in power that could have stood up, have not.
So I have a question, if I may.
Yes.
Okay, you talked about radical acceptance.
Yes.
And I guess around 6 months ago, I started to explore Stoicism because
Well, you'll have to teach me more about that.
I thought it'd be a great time, because after reading Mel Robbins' books of Let Them, okay, I thought, you know what, maybe I need to look into that. And that kind of ties into your radical acceptance theory, right? In a lot of ways, there seems to be overlapping. Could you address that maybe?
I don't know enough about Stoicism to address how it overlaps with radical acceptance, but what's your impression, Eileen?
Well, I think it's a lot of where so much information, you have to realize you cannot control everything. So it's a matter of, what can I control? What will impact me negatively? Will I allow it to impact me negatively? And then, as Mel Robbins always says, just let them. Because at the end of the day, as you say, you have to be happy. You have to have a gratitude journal. You have to be positive in life. If everything that someone says upsets you, you're not going to be. So I think that's a lot. And I don't know anything about radical acceptance, but I am going to learn more, because it seems to me, after learning a great deal of Stoicism and reading different philosophers, there seems to be a lot of overlapping. And I think that's a healthy way to look at things. I can't control everything.
Right. I'll draw an analogy as a psychiatrist, as someone who does therapy. People often have to decide how they're going to behave with someone who has hurt them or disappointed them or let them down. Maybe someone who's now elderly that needs care. And the answer isn't about what that other person did to you. It's about who you want to be as a person. How I care for others is my choice about who I am. And so I think that also ties into this. We have to, who are we? What are our values? How do we want to go through the world? And what am I willing to risk? How brave am I? Is part of that equation. So there was a question. Someone just put, Pam Lala said, Alan Watts' book, Wisdom of Insecurity, was very helpful to find balance. If people have other resources, we all find wisdom and things that help us move forward. There's a sign in an office. It's not my office, but someone else put up a sign that says you can do hard things. We have little things that help us. Someone else said, being human includes forgiveness and redemption. How do we reconcile this with current political behaviors? These are big questions, aren't they? I think these are the kinds of questions that sometimes I for a long time, our psychiatrist friend last night. These are the kinds of questions that I think we need to talk with people we trust, and go back and forth. And it's very difficult. I think about Renee
Good.
Good's widow.
Good.
How is her wife going to go on? How is she going to struggle with all of this? And profoundly difficult questions. And all I know is that in I won't tell you how many decades of practice, but it's a lot. I am amazed at how people go on. They find meaning, they find joy. They often find forgiveness. But we could be in this situation for a long time. And I think our challenge is to learn to live the life we have. We all hope that something will dramatically change with the 26 midterms, though that uncertainty of what's going to play out, we try not to dwell on it. We still have to do the best. We have to be who we are and continue to move forward, continue to take action, both personal and political. So I wish I could. This is really a struggle because I can only see myself and Eileen, and I can't see all of you, and you can't talk to me. These are conversations. I'm not wise enough or expert enough to answer these questions. Keep using the chat. You have each other there, or the Q&A. Someone also asked in the emails before, what is it that makes other people do these things? I only touched on the politics of grievance. This has been a very long time coming in our society. One of the great structural things that's happened is this huge transfer of wealth to the super wealthy. What does it even mean to have $600 billion or 200 or $100 billion? And we know from other times in society that when there are these vast inequalities in wealth, that we can have terrible things happen in the world. But there are people out there, there are fixes for these structural problems if we can regain our democracy.
So someone entered a comment in the chat. Let me share that with you. I don't know if you can see that. I think forgiveness is most possible and accessible when someone has apologized to you for the hurt and harm they've done to you. So I'm not yet entertaining forgiveness for bad actors who don't care enough at all about other human beings.
It's interesting. This is a topic that I've talked a lot about with someone Someone in my office. We can't control whether other people will admit they were wrong or apologize. They might not. Uh, there's a wonderful study of people who forget who they voted for. They forget the position they took. Somehow the majority never supported certain bad actors who they elected. So I don't know that forgiveness requires recognition that you wronged someone or an apology. Because I can't control whether someone else does that. Just my thought. Thank you. Michelle Obama's recent book is called The Look. It is wonderful both visually and the text in it, or grab one of her early interviews about it. It's so much more far-reaching than what she wears. That's not even a guilty pleasure, but you are allowed to have guilty pleasures. Sometimes I think we just need to put into the chat the bad TV show we're watching, or the books we read for pleasure. Oh, my friend Shelley, we spend a lot of time thinking what others are doing, but we should take a break and question what we are doing. I think this is where I started the talk. It's 7:58. The only people in the room are us. We can only control ourselves. We have to live the life we have. And I do believe that we can live and be human. There are many people out there who are not as nearly as fortunate as those of us who can be on this Zoom tonight, who don't have the privilege and good fortune to live with joy. They may not even know where their next meal is coming from or have a roof over their head. I know someone now who lives in Minneapolis who is I don't even know how much I can say, but they are very pregnant and have many characteristics of someone who could be stopped by ICE. And I fear for them every day. I don't know how they're brave enough to walk out their door, but they have no choice, because how else will they support their family? So those of us with the good fortune, do not feel guilty for having a good life, but do pay it forward, be part of a community, be of service, take good care of yourself. And thank you for having me tonight.
So we want to thank you, Lisa, for a thought-provoking and informative program. I found it very inspiring, very uplifting, and even better than the first one. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Eileen.
As we navigate through this stressful time, we have to remember to take care of ourselves both mentally and physically. So I know I jotted down a couple takeaways. One's going to be the radical abundance, but also I think I've been breathing wrong all these years. So now I have to start breathing right. I'm not doing it correctly. So I'm taking that away. If you're not currently a member of the League of Women Voters of Bucks County, we invite you to consider joining us by visiting our website, which Lisa so kindly put up there. It's important that we're part of a community. We're dedicated, passionate, and we're caring members. And I think there were two really good items in the chat. One was that they were grateful for the League, and they're grateful for the resources. And volunteering, as Lisa said, makes us feel so much better when we're part of a community. Let's pay it forward. That's what it's all about. We can do great things collectively. So if one of your goals this year is to get involved, this is a perfect time. Come join us. If you have any questions, you can call me. I'm more than happy to chat away. I love to chat as well. So a huge thank you to Dr. Lisa, who took time to present another fabulous program, and to all of you who joined us. And I want to thank Kathy Beveridge, who, with her technical expertise, setting up this Zoom webinar. So I was so needed, which was great, really great. Your presence and your engagement truly matters to us. So please join us. We're a great group. I think your voice can be heard. Collectively, we can do great things. So have a great evening. And Lisa, and to everyone who attend, thank you so much.
Thank you, Eileen. And Jennifer Hughes in the chat, I'm going to give her the last word from a sticker, and someone else said from a poem. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great evening.
Thank you.